I'm sorry I'm late. I know I'm late. I had some issues that we had to take care of before the stream started. Decided to take some extra steps before I went live. But the show goes on. The show is happening, folks. You know? Welcome, everybody, to Red State Live. How's everybody doing today? How is everybody's day going? Today's episode might get a little spicy, depending on where you sit in the spectrum on the ideological spectrum of the men versus women debate. We're gonna be talking about that today. Apparently, there's a big exodus happening, the sexodus, if you will. It's happening. It's real. Men are leaving the dating pool. They're not getting married anymore. And recently, Cam Newton kind of said something. This quarterback, Cam Newton, free agent right now. Core integrity restored. He said something that got a lot of people fuming mad. But the thing is what he did, it was about traditional families. Is what he said actually wrong, though? Let's talk about that. Also today, I want to talk about, there seems to be a big split between conservatives on whether or not Greg Abbott's troll move against DC was actually good. I think it was, but we'll talk about that later. Also, as you can see, Red is already he's ready for this conversation. Space. Lately, people have been talking about it more and more. Should we be going to space? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. But we'll talk about that more. In the meantime, here but lurking again. Ugh. John, you gotta, dude, okay. We gotta do something about this job of yours, bro. We gotta do something about it. Because it's taking time away from me. And I don't appreciate it. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. I kind of want to, we're going to, yeah, by the way, lurk away. Thank you for the lurk even. Even if you're not having a conversation in this, during the show or anything like that, you're not in the chat, you're just kind of watching, God bless you. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Always a pleasure to have everyone here. Even for those of you who aren't talking, who just want to sit back and listen, you're more than welcome to. I say, I was kind of debating on what I really wanted to talk about first. And I kind of want to talk about this Greg Abbott thing first. And then we'll move on to the men versus women thing. And I kind of want to save the space conversation for last. Because it's more of like, we're going to watch a video. Because recently Tim Pool had a conversation with a group of people. And they were talking about space. And people seemed to have different reasons as to why they wanted to go. It was a very interesting conversation, and I kind of want to add my voice to it. But in the meantime, also, yeah, definitely like and subscribe. Definitely do that. So, for those of you who don't know what's happening, in the great state of Texas, I mean, I don't see how you wouldn't know what's happening. Please, are we talking about Father Flagler? Father Flagler? What's Father Flagler? I've never heard of that. That's a mouthful, too. So back, as you guys know, the border crisis is continuing to spin out of control. It really sucks. Border states are being hit the hardest. The crime across the nation is actually up. In part, greatly, because of the out-of-control border situation we have. Joe Biden and the Biden administration, Kamala Harris, who's allegedly in charge of the border, I don't know what she's doing. My guess is nothing. Has decided that they just more or less abandoned it, kind of leaving Greg Abbott to be the person who is trying to defend the border. The Texas border is pretty much the most infiltrated one, and it's up to him. And y'all don't understand how big Texas is. It is a massive state. It is very big. And he has to effectively guard this entire strip of land from illegal immigrants coming from not just Mexico, but everywhere south of Mexico too. They're making their way up. They're coming to our border. They're crossing over illegally. They effectively take advantage of our medical system. They don't pay taxes. And lately, many states have been actually giving them grants, basically paying them to be illegal immigrants in the United States, giving them things, education, that kind of stuff. Can really screw up a nation when you have so many people putting a financial burden on the state. And then on top of that, that's not even discussing the amount of crime that some of them bring with them. Some of them come here strictly to take part in the drug trade, the sex trafficking trade, all that kind of stuff. It's not pretty. Greg Abbott, being the man that he is, he's a good guy. I know many people don't really like Greg Abbott. I know him. He's pretty good. He had this idea. Apparently, the people in D.C. do not understand the gravity of the situation. So he went big brain moment, and he goes, I'm going to start shipping these illegal immigrants up to D.C. Instead of just having them here. We're going to release them in. We are going to shove the problem in their face so that they understand. The church in Chicago that has given up white people for Lent. Oh yeah, we read that earlier in a different episode. That was nuts. We talked about, that was so stupid. I missed. Damn it, I would have loved to laugh at Brent. Laugh at me over what? What? How is that? You're weird, Carrie. Yeah, it's under the VOD link. Anyway, it started back in April 6th. Greg Abbott made this announcement. This is from Sister Told You. By the way, everything that I'm about to talk about is at redstate.com. Go ahead and head there right now if you want to follow along with me. All these articles I'm going to be talking about are on the front page, except for this one. This is April 6th. But, scroll down. And also be sure to like the stream if you haven't already and subscribe. Republican governors have been complaining for months about how the Biden administration has been transporting illegal immigrants into their states, sometimes in the dead of night when they think no one is watching, and dumping them in areas that have already been deluged by the influx of illegal immigrants who made it across the border as the result of President Biden's disastrous border policies. For instance, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' public safety czar Larry Keefe pointed out back in November that they had discovered the Biden administration had been flying illegal immigrants into the state under the cover of darkness. Keefe also said that when he reached out to the DHS and the DOJ to find out who issued the directive, no answer was given. DeSantis made a vow at the time to begin using charter buses to send them to Biden's home state of Delaware. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, too, has complained in the past about illegals being dumped in Texas by the Biden administration, overwhelming the already stretched thin resources of the small communities they're being bused to. And as a result of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failure to get the situation at the border under control, Abbott announced a new policy Wednesday, in which he's directing state agencies to begin utilizing charter buses to reroute the illegal immigrants Biden keeps dumping into Texas to Washington, D.C. So it's almost like the Biden administration has it out for states like Florida, like states like Texas, because they are flying immigrants into these places, busing them into these places, dropping them off, and then making these states to deal with them, while they are refusing to actually guard the border. And I want to remind everybody that Greg Abbott is currently being sued by the Biden administration for trying to protect our border. And I want to make it clear that this should not be a right or left issue. Border security is border security. I want to remind everyone that Democrats, very recently were all about border security during the Biden administration. The Obama administration. It was pretty much a given that you protected the border. You had people like Chuck Schumer up there talking about the importance of it. You had Barack Obama talking about the importance of border security. Or at least they were pretending to want to protect the border. And open borders people were considered fringe leftists. That wasn't that long ago. You go even further back, and I think they actually truly believed that border security was a good thing. Now, all of a sudden, they don't. And they are punishing governors They're suing them for trying to protect our border, the United States border, something that they shouldn't be having to do alone. One of the purposes of the federal government is to protect the United States and its borders, which the federal government has just decided that they're not going to do. They don't care. They just don't want to care. And they seem to be wanting to let everyone out, except for Cubans, by the way. They don't like it when Cubans come in because Cubans come in and vote Republican, so they have a standing policy. The Biden administration actually does have a standing policy that if Cubans are apprehended at the border, they're to be turned away and sent back to Cuba. That's actually real. That's a real thing. I saw this Red State article earlier today. Awesome trolling. I know. I'm so happy he's doing this. What's up, Pickled Squirrel? How you doing? Welcome. Isn't that how you engage in shenanigans under the cover of darkness? Pretty much. I love the troll, but I don't think it solves the problem. Well, that's the issue. See, there seems to be a torn mentality. And we'll get to that in a second. They're trying to turn the red states blue. Maybe. Can we talk to someone in charge at the White House? It certainly isn't mumbles with pudding. I think he's more of an ice cream guy. To help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are dropped off by the Biden administration, Texas is providing charter buses to send these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C. Abbott stated during a press conference. Let's go ahead and watch that. I want to see this now.
Crossing the border from Mexico into Texas. And at this time, I'm going to sign my directive to Colonel McCraw, the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety. To get that project underway immediately for the zero tolerance and the inspections that will be taking place. Second, to help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are being dropped off by the Biden administration. Texas is providing charter buses to send these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C.
What a Chad!
We are sending them to the United States Capitol, where the Biden administration will be able to more immediately address the needs of the people that they are allowing to come across our border. To get that going, I'm going to sign a letter to Chief Nim Kidd with the Texas Division of Emergency Management, who will be in charge of this operation. Together, and to recap on these, what Colonel McCraw is charged to do is, in this letter, I say that I hereby direct the Texas Department of Public Safety to conduct.
So, apparently, they loaded up the buses and they sent them to D.C. And as we speak, apparently these buses are arriving. First of many Texas buses filled with migrants arrives in D.C., but I have an idea. I think that we should take it further personally. Fed up with the border issues being a Texas problem, Texas Governor Greg Abbott decided that maybe the politicians in D.C. didn't quite understand how serious the issue is because they're so far removed from the said border. In order to cure that problem, Abbott figured that he'd bring the border to them. So he loaded up a lot of illegal migrants onto a bus and shipped them to Washington, D.C. Now, according to Fox News, the bus pulled up approximately at 8 a.m. local time, blocks away from the U.S. Capitol building. Fox News has learned that they came from the Del Rio sector in Texas after coming to the U.S. from Colombia, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Upon the buses arrival, I like the fact that they're bringing Cubans. They're like, no, we're not sending them back. We're sending them to D.C. Good. Maybe they can actually have some sort of asylum, become citizens, fast track them to citizenry, and then they can run. Upon the bus's arrival in Washington, D.C., individuals disembarked one by one, except for family units who exited together. They checked in with with officials and had wristbands they were wearing cut off before they could go. I was told that they were actually dropped off in front of the Fox News building, which, if you're really wanting to get the message out that this is going on, give it to Fox News. According to TDEM, Abbott's plan is already working. The agency told Fox News on Monday that many of the communities that originally reached out for support from the Rio Grande Valley to Terrell County say the federal government stopped dropping immigrants in their towns since Abbott's announcement on April 6. So it's actually having an effect. people are already like, oh God, we don't want this. We don't want this. They were trying to play chicken and they lost. Greg Abbott wins. But here's where I kind of sit on this. This is my personal opinion, and your mileage may vary. You might have some completely opposite idea, and I've seen many of them stated. I think that we should go further with it. Because I don't think it's just a DC problem, if I'm being 100% honest. If you go throughout the United States, there are many states that are more or less untouched by illegal immigration. Yet, these people, these voters and politicians and stuff, they virtue signal about how awesome it is that we are a welcoming country and we have all these people coming here, and they should be able to cross the border, and they should be able to take part in the great American life. You know, the American dream. It's theirs too. We're a nation of immigrants. And you know what? Here's the thing. We are a nation of immigrants. That is absolutely true. And there used to be a time when people would just come across, the border or sea, and stuff like that. And they would get off the boat. They'd get checked for bugs. And then they'd be sent on their way, more or less. But since then, we have had a system in place that basically makes it so burdensome. Okay, we got Social Security, the taxes are higher than ever. We've got all sorts of different entitlement programs and stuff. And getting people into the United States is a lot harder than it used to be. Now these things are so expensive that adding thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people to it, it hurts. It causes major problems. As I'm 100% certain that one of the main reasons, it's not just for potential votes that they can cheat, at the ballot box with, they make all these promises to these illegal immigrants who believe it and they vote in Democrats who then turn around and screw them. I think that there is something to be said about keeping people on the line and making them loyal voters by promising them that stuff and then making them dependent on it. I think that they are betting that a lot of these people are going to get on these help programs, these entitlements and stuff like that. And as you can see in many communities, once you get on these entitlement programs and you're on this welfare kick, it's hard to get out of it. There are many people in black communities who would absolutely love to leave these welfare programs, but they can't. They're actually stuck in them. Because once you make a certain amount of money, you lose welfare, and welfare actually makes up a good portion of what you make. So, like, let's say you they do not allow, you can't get off of welfare, even with like certain, you can get kicked off of welfare if you make even certain amount, like I think even $12 plus an hour. So you're not making enough money, but you're making enough to get off of welfare, and it really hurts you. So it's like they're forced to kind of stay in this kind of low grade, low minimum wage kind of lifestyle or job, because if they go beyond it, they're going to lose a lot of money. So it kind of keeps them in that welfare system. And who is the biggest proponent of welfare system and trying to give more people money? The more people that the Democrat Party ropes into welfare, the more people they effectively can control. Now, if they are bringing these people in and putting them on some sort of welfare system, they can control them. Because the moment that it's taken away or reduced, their life becomes a lot harder. It's kind of sad when you think about it. But they're bussing in effectively what becomes loyal voters. Or at least they're going to try to make them loyal voters if they can get away with it. As Pickled Squirrel said, they're trying to turn red states blue. Okay, the line about letting the Biden admin handle the issue more directly is Chad. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And yes, more illegals in rich, well-to-do, white, primarily liberal neighborhoods. Dude, what happened to the crap ton of Afghanistan refugees that came over to the end of the war? We got 7,000 at Camp Atterbury in Indiana. All of a sudden, we don't hear about them anymore. That's a good question. I even forgot about that. The government giveth and the government taketh away. Exactly. So here's my plan. Here's what I think we should actually be doing. in my honest opinion. I kind of think that if you're really going to solve the problem, you have to do exactly what Greg Abbott just did. You have to shove it in their face. But this has to happen across the nation, especially in like the rich leftist parts of the Northeast. Sorry, Red. just start busing in illegal immigrants to like Vermont, Delaware, all these places that are blue. And these people like virtue signal and pat themselves on the back for having these opinions about how open they are, how wonderful it is that they're so caring for all these immigrants that are struggling and they're trying to come across the border for a better life. And yes, welcome them in, but don't come to my neighborhood. Stay south. You plague the border states. Let them deal with you. Because you have Biden busing them into places like Florida and Arizona, Texas. My thinking, the moment you catch them, don't send them back to the border. You want this problem solved fast? Send them up north. Send them into these states and make them live up to the virtues that they signal. That's what I say. And Abbott seems to have that same idea. I know it seems a little counterintuitive because we're basically spreading the problem around. But I mean, at the moment, they're not taking the problem seriously. Sometimes in order to teach people a lesson, they have to experience the pain and the hurt themselves. So one day, these people wake up, these rich white leftists up in the Northeast and, and these blue states, they wake up and suddenly they've got illegal immigrants everywhere. They're in their hospitals. They're taking their jobs. Crime is elevating a little bit. And I'm not saying that, many of these illegal immigrants are just, they're not criminals at all. They're just looking for a better life. I get it. And I do feel for them. I actually do. Especially the ones with these families and stuff. They're trying to escape some sort of oppression or, their countries are controlled by cartels. It's not fun. They come here for a better life. I get it. But it's counterintuitive to put all this burden on a system that in the end will actually do them worse. They're going to wind up poor and on the street. I feel bad for them, but you know what? I mean, this is the problem that we have. No one's thinking about this up north. None of these leftists are thinking about this. They love to virtue signal it that they care, but do they really care? My guess is no. I don't think they actually care. I think they just like to pretend they care. Well, let's make them put their money where their mouth is. Let's make them act on their... Let's put these morals to the test. Let's see what they end up doing. Are they going to invite them into their homes? Because there was a movement there for a bit that said, hey, we've got a lot of people coming in from overseas that are immigrants. Invite them into your homes. We got a lot of people coming in from the street. They need a place to stay. Invite them into your homes. You had Stephen King, the author, actually looking down on people in the South, and he was finger wagging at us for being so horrible because we weren't sharing our space with immigrants. And I'm like, dude, you live in a huge mansion with a gated fence around it. Are you going to invite people into your home? I doubt it. So why not drop them off at Stephen King's house? Put them right outside. Any rich white leftist that has been virtue signaling this for some time, let's take an entire charter bus of people and drop them off in front of their house. See how they like it. See how virtuous they are then. I'm pretty sure they're going to Nancy Pelosi this. They're going to talk a big game, but when push comes to shove, they're not going to. They're actually going to fight to keep their neighborhoods clean. Nancy Pelosi did the exact same thing with homeless people in San Francisco. San Francisco, apparently they were trying to do something with the homeless people and give them shelter nearby, and Nancy Pelosi basically made it so that her neighborhood would be so far removed from that stuff that they'd never see it. These people with all these virtues, they don't actually have these virtues. And I think that this is a really great way to prove that they're not, that they're full of crap, effectively. It always amused me when Washington brought over the Somalis and put them in Maine, New Hampshire, a desert people put in cold north. That's gotta suck. How do you deal with that? Can you imagine? Like, that would be like me having to live somewhere like in Alaska. I'm from Texas, so I'm used to heat, you know? But if they wind up putting me in Alaska, I wouldn't know if I'd know how to deal with it. But even for them, that's got to be, well, no, because it doesn't get cold there, especially in the mountains. I think they have snow and stuff. Send them to Hollywood as well. I think they actually do. Like, California actually, I think, is one of those places that a lot of them go to. I mean, they've already got a homeless problem to begin with, but I think that they have an immigrant issue. Because technically, they're kind of on the border, too. I mean, they border like Tijuana and all that stuff. And what kind of hoops do you have to jump through to get citizenship in Mexico or the Dominican Republic? You actually have to have money to your name. My question is, when Trump was president, these people were actually minding their own borders, too. You know? It was actually kind of funny because like Mexico was like, yeah, no one's getting past us anymore. Then Biden gets elected and suddenly these waves of immigrants come in. And you actually saw the wave. I wonder if I could pull that up. Hang on, let me see if I can find that picture. Do y'all remember? There was that, oh gosh. Hang on. Biden let us in shirts that they were wearing. Do y'all remember that? Yeah, here it is. Oh my gosh. Okay, check this out. This is it. Y'all remember these? So Joe Biden was making all these promises during his campaign that he would let these people in and they would be free to take part in the American dream. It was all that like, oh yeah, I'm so great and virtuous and kind. Like, these white rich liberals, leftists, they were making all these promises and then they actually had shirts. I want to know who made the shirts for them. They actually had shirts that says Biden, please let us in. Look. These are like this isn't even just like a slogan or anything. This is like a straight up logo. This was printed on t-shirts. It was absolutely nuts to me. You know what they should do? Oh my God. You know what they should do? Before they get off the bus. They need to hand these t-shirts out to these people. Like, wear these and walk around DC. Just a whole bunch of people wear the Biden let us in shirts, getting off of these buses. Oh my God, talk about the ultimate troll. Greg Abbott, I'm gonna clip this. If you're listening, buddy, there you go. That one's free. God, that would be such a great idea. Funny how those got printed so quickly. Dude, I mean, the activists, there are activists out there who have, I mean, obviously there are. There are activists out there who would love open borders. And since activists currently run our country, I mean, like, dude, start shoving it in their face, man. Look, it comes in hoodie form for, like, look. If they get cold, if they're dropped off during the winter or fall, they can have the Biden please let us in hoodie. Oh my God, it would be so good. They should hire me. People should hire high offices in politics. I have the best ideas. That would be, dude. Talk about the ultimate. That would make headlines. Because this is gonna wear off. I think it should still do it, but it's gonna like wear off. The novelty of it is gonna wear off. Put them in the shirts. Trust me. From request to explanation. What's up, Brandon? The impeccable logistics of the spontaneous leftist movement was so obvious. Yeah. That's a good point, Brandon. who all has an amazing first name. They had those shirts ready to go, 100% ready to go. And I kind of wonder though, like who. This is tinfoil hat time. My tinfoil hat's all the way over there. Do you think that they were originally going to try to use that as, because I mean, like you guys saw it, like there were pictures from all over the place, like all these websites where the AP had some. Do you think that it was originally going to be a publicity stunt for the Democrats, and it was supposed to generate some sort of sympathy that allowed them to make the borders a little less or a little more porous? But it just backfired because people were like, can we not please? We kind of want the wall. We kind of like border security. We kind of like less crime. And it just backfired. And they just abandoned it pretty quickly. Because, I mean, they don't really talk about this anymore. Have you guys noticed that? They don't really talk about the border that much anymore. Democrats, media. It's like, at first it was a big deal. Now it's not. Like, it got old fast. And, like, have you heard them speak about the border that much? And when I say they, I mean the Biden administration, because it is few and far between. Kamala Harris, the only, like, I swear she was doing her best to actually avoid it. And the only reason she ever showed up at the border, which, by the way, was a complete disaster in and of itself. The only reason that she did it so quickly was because she had to beat Trump there. Trump was like, I'm going to go patrol or inspect the border with, he wasn't even president. I'm going to go inspect the border with Governor Greg Abbott and check it out. And, like, you know, see if I can't help in some way, do something about it. And Kamala Harris saw the need to beat Trump down to the border. The dude he had just pretty much like, it was still like pre 1 year into Joe Biden's presidency. And she was afraid that Trump would get really good headlines and had to beat him down to the border. That dude, if you want to know how much Trump makes the left afraid, there's your example right there. Kamala Harris decided it was time for her to actually get her ass in gear down to the border because Trump was threatening to get there first. Not even running. He wasn't even for president. We don't even know. We still don't even know if he is actually running. But they're still afraid of him. You should have seen PDX during the Antifa riots. What is that? PDX? What's PDX? PDX during the Antifa. Hang on, let me see what you're talking about here, because I'm curious. Oh, the airport. Oh, what happened? I never knew. I never heard about that. Yeah, tell me what happened. I'm curious. And part of the reason it got old fast is because they got caught being worse than what they claimed Trump was doing to them. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Dude, they had people sleeping under underpasses. Like they were full to the brim. For those of you who like, I think it was Project Veritas that actually had like helicopter footage. They had a helicopter go around. And the entire facility was so full, the border facility where these people were held was overflowing so badly that they had to take an overpass and create a camp in the dirt. And that became overfilled with migrants. It was nuts. Like, that's how bad it got. Sorry, Portlandistan. God, what a sad story about Portland. Portlandistan, Oregon. I love that, by the way. The pallets of bricks staged around town was... Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, we just called Portland PDX. Oh, are you from Portland? You don't have to answer that. I remember seeing those pictures. Yeah, I remember that too. They actually caused a panic. I think a pile of bricks was seen here in Dallas, and it came from out of nowhere. And people, like they don't have no idea why it was. It was like on a corner somewhere of like a neighborhood. And people started to panic because of it. And then like someone came and removed the bricks. It was weird. The spontaneous riots weren't spontaneous at all. They had an army bivouacked under the bridges. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, no. These activists throughout the United States, dude, they don't mess around. They actually have a very, very, very big plan, and they have no. I mean, read Andy No's book about Antifa, and it gives you the history of Antifa and what they do, and how they plan and where they plan. Like it's pretty eye opening. But yeah, what Brandon's highlighting right there is like these activists 100% know what they're doing, and they've got plans on plans. And here's the thing, like there's no possible way that they're not planning them in conjunction with somebody in politics. Somebody. It's a little strange to me. It's a little strange to me that like I don't think that Antifa's that reactive. So like, during the, I'm going a little off topic here, just real fast. It's a little strange to me that you have Antifa rear its head and plan all this stuff every election. When a Black Lives Matter riot happens or something like that, Antifa's at the forefront. They're causing trouble, And you've had politicians in the past defend Antifa or like promote Antifa. You've had CNN hosts actually defend them whenever they're out there hurting people. There's got to be a thing. And there was a while back, somebody did something with a Twitter bot where they went through and I actually had a guy threaten to sue me because I reported about it. They had a Twitter bot track the interactions between journalists and Antifa members. And it was like thick. The amount of things that they had, like I wonder if I could pull it up. I might tweet it out later. But the amount of connections and interactions between journalists and Antifa members was many. What's up, Dennis? Welcome, bud. I lived there my whole life until last summer. After they made it legal to camp on the sidewalk and not illegal to have hard drugs, I moved to Oklahoma. That's probably wise. What's up, Russ? Man, what private business owner would be like, let's open up shop in Portland? You gotta be brave. You gotta be massive. Like the cojones you gotta have got to be massive because you're either gonna get your store's either gonna get burned down or co-opted. 100%, or you're just going to pay taxes out the ass. God, living in Portland, why would you do it at this point? I'm not going to raise kids in a place where the homeless heroin addict is an acceptable adult life track. Absolutely. And it's sad, too, because Portland, I heard, was absolutely beautiful. The same thing with San Francisco. My wife and I went to San Francisco a couple of years ago, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I love San Francisco, to visit. But yeah, I mean, there actually was, the homeless problem there, it was bad. It was really bad. I saw needles just laying around everywhere on the ground. But otherwise, like it was like a really fun time, I gotta say. And I feel bad that the city goes through that kind of thing, because I'm pretty sure that it was funny because we were taking a lot of Ubers and stuff all around California. We've been to San Diego and San Francisco, and we were traveling kind of around the area just outside San Francisco, and these people that we would talk to who actually work there in San Francisco and San Diego and all that stuff, I think we like all but one of them that we really talked to was like a leftist. All but one of them. And I was like, it's kind of strange to me. I kind of figured that every person that we'd talk to when we went there would be like a raging lunatic leftist, and that I was going to have to keep my mouth shut and not really say much. But man, these people were like, yeah, this is nuts. I can't believe we're having to go through this. Like, it's sad, man. It's sad that such beautiful, like a place of such beauty is being overtaken by people who are just so selfish that they create these policies that affect everyone else but them. And they want to reject and make sure they don't have to suffer, like Nancy Pelosi, keeping the homeless people away from her neighborhood, but, making sure that everyone understands that she is so caring about the homeless, And now the busing in of people to D.C., of illegal immigrants to D.C., genius move, put it in their face, make them deal with it. The interaction has been thick since Occupy Wall Street. You are 100% correct, Dennis. Man, I remember that, dude. The leftist media went all in for Occupy Wall Street. They did their absolute best to make it seem like Occupy Wall Street was just this like great. The same thing with Chaz, though. If you remember, they did the same thing with Chaz. It was like Occupy Wall Street Part 2. You know, like no rapes occurred and murders and It's a summer of love. Like, come on, man. They aren't even activists. Most of the rioters are just the same street junkies that were living on the street anyway. I think they take advantage of those people. 100%. Do y'all remember the pipeline protest? I think it was in 2016, 2017. They were trying to stop the Keystone Pipeline from being built through this Indian reservation. And the Indian the people who ran the reservations, who actually lived on it, were like so upset because these protesters that had moved in, you had activists that were leading the charge, but a lot of them were just like vagrants and homeless people and drug addicts. And they trashed that land. It was absolutely trashed. It was so tragic. And they were like, please leave. Please get off our land. Please stop protesting. We're fine. I remember being invited to conference calls for OWS. Lots of people were leaving dreams of Woodstock and a deep thread of activists that knew how to use tech. It paid off by the time BLM arrived. Absolutely. Oh, that's... Occupy Wall Street was probably actually a really great predecessor to BLM, to be honest with you. And it was kind of funny to watch these communists get together and like talk about how bad... Like it really, the moment defined how stupid Occupy Wall Street was, the moment that defined it for me, a woman was sitting there being interviewed by another Occupy Wall Street blogger who was filming this lady with his iPad as she spoke about how evil capitalism was and how we needed to overturn the system that we're currently living in and replace it with socialism or communism. I remember that moment. I was like, you people are idiots. All right, let's move on because I don't want to get too stun locked on, and we've got a lot to talk about still. Cam Newton's sexist comments about modern women. I don't think they're wrong. Rats, next meeting in 3 minutes. Dropping again. Keep it up. Your shows are digging into some serious material. Meet my friend. Take care. Dennis, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat, bro. Cam Newton's sexist comments about modern women aren't wrong. I'm going to go ahead and just play this first. And you can reach your own conclusions before I start weighing in, because I think it's very interesting what he says. And there's probably going to be a little bit of contention between the ladies. I don't know. Ladies, if you agree, disagree, feel free to weigh in. I'm more than happy to debate this with you. But I think he's right. I'm just going to say it right there, actually. I think he's right. It's like the same climate crisis, people pushing for mask mandates, but not realizing most of them are just ending up in the ocean. Yeah. But you know what? We're focused on the straws. Stop with the paper straw bull. I hate those paper straws. Please, God, restaurants, stop giving us paper straws.
I had a perfect example of what a man was in my life by my father. Mm-hmm. My parents has been together for 36, 37 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother. And I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
Okay.
A bad bitch is a person who's just, girl, I'm a bad bitch. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part.
Okay.
And it's a lot of women who are bad bitches, and I say bitches in a way not to degrade a woman, but just to go off the aesthetic of.
By the way, I wanted to stop it here and point this out. Notice that he's being respectful to women. He's saying, I'm saying even the word bitch when I say that. It's like not my word, it's their word. That's how they describe themselves. I'm not into that. I'm not trying to be degrading myself.
What they deem is a boss chick. Mm-hmm. Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs, mm-hmm. right? And I think
And right there, we've already got one of the things that really pissed women off. Not just even women, like simps and white knights and all that stuff. I noticed that, like, if you go to the comment section of websites that tweeted this out, or their Twitter sites, Twitter profiles, that's one of the phrases that they're focusing in on. Don't understand a man's needs, and somehow that's a bad thing. I'm going to let him continue, but I just wanted to point that one thing out because I've got some things to say about that.
a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss bitch, like I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, like, but you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
So as you can imagine, even those last two just sent people flying into a rage. They do not like what he said. Ladies, you are more than welcome to weigh in here and tell me what you think, but I'll go ahead and just give you my 2 cents. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, and moreover, he's not sexist for saying so. And I'll explain to you why. There is, I think, an issue that we have in our society that is currently ongoing where women don't seem to know what they want in terms of men. They have this idea in their head that they were taught from the feminists of old, the third wave feminists, their mothers and stuff like that, that they adopted from God knows where. Okay? That all women need to be these ball busters and yes, slay queen. We don't need no man. Men are dumb. They're here to serve us. But then they want men to step up and be men while not being men. You know, it's toxic masculinity, but we want a man so bad. Like, they do not seem to understand that they are asking for two things at once. They are having an issue now attracting men. And it kind of goes back to what Cam Newton was saying, in my honest to God opinion. Cam Newton is saying that women don't understand a man's needs. Well, women are taught that, you know, men's needs don't really matter as compared to their own. Their needs need to be met first. In fact, the men should be working to make sure that the women in their lives are fully happy at all times, selflessly. But that's not how things work. And I can tell you that, you know, growing up, we were pushed as men to, we were taught, here's how you need to take care of a woman. Here are the expectations of you when it comes to a woman. Here's how you treat her. You need to work hard to keep her. You need to make sure that, you know, you put her first at all times. Okay. Fine. Fair. Absolutely fair. But women are not taught that. Women are taught what to expect from a man. And that's it. At least not, let me make sure we all understand where I'm coming from here. Not every single woman was taught this. Not every single woman believes this. I want to make that very clear that what I'm talking about is too much of the modern sentimentality that is being forced on women today. And this is why you have a lot of women who don't know how to treat a man, don't know how a man thinks, don't understand men at all. They become insanely frustrated when the man can't deliver up to these high promises, and then they get insulted whenever the man expects something in return. A house or relationship is give and take. Now, let's say you do want to go to the ultimate goal and you have a marriage, you have a household. Okay? It is not sexist for a man to have expectations because he can't do this all on his own. If he gets into a relationship where it's nothing but give on his part, then he's losing out on something. He's losing out on he's going to stress himself out, okay? He's not getting anything in return. He's going to become depressed. He's going to become tired, stressed out, and eventually these marriages end. One, either she initiates the divorce because, you know, he's become so distant or tired, or he simps too much and he's not fighting back, or he initiates it because he's tired of this shit. Divorces are skyrocketing. It's not bad for a man to want his woman to know how to cook, how to clean, how to have basic homemaking skills. Because a house is run a lot like a business. I mean, it's got to function. And it doesn't function if one of the people in the relationship is not pulling her weight. And not just physically, I'm talking about emotionally. A man has to be upheld and talked to. He has worries. He has, stresses. He's got opinions. And even today, like men, if you look at commercials and movies and stuff like that, TV shows, men are all portrayed as these idiots who are always wrong. The woman is always having to save the day with her intelligence because her husband wouldn't be able to open up a jar of pickles if she didn't instruct him how to twist. It's in my opinion that that women today have sort of not, and I'm not, again, not all women, but they are being taught to be useless. That's just the way it is, and so that's why men are leaving. It's too much. And this was written about 6 years ago. Shortage of eligible men has left women taking desperate steps to preserve their fertility. Another issue is that, these women are being taught that if they want to be a stay-at-home mother, then they are failing women. They're failing themselves. They're taking steps back. And so they're going out and they're getting these high-paying careers, which businesses are more than welcome to bring them in and do so because it makes them look good. The more that their employee pool looks like a freaking postcard from like a college campus, the better. And they're more than happy to give these women these high-paying jobs and sit in boardrooms for the look. And it should be insulting to women, by the way. And I think it is insulting many women who are like, am I here because y'all want me here? Or am I here because I make you guys look good? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read this. This was written 4th of July, 2017. It's almost like the dynamic of men and women hasn't been a thing for 1,000. Yeah, exactly. Seems like he's on the right track. Agreed. The number one problem in the entire United States is the decline of fatherhood, manhood, and masculine virtues or values. You know what, Brandon? You are not wrong. And it is insane to me how much people do not focus in on this problem. They think that we're on the right track so long as toxic masculinity is stamped down and men somehow are taking a backseat to women and stuff like that, but they don't understand that while they push this kind of society, they're tamping down men. And people wonder why, they devalue men. They dismiss them, their worries, their fears, their wants, their needs. And then people wonder why suicide among men is skyrocketing right now. I'm telling you that right now, mainstream society does not like men. They want them out of the picture. They accuse them of being a part of the patriarchy and having toxic masculinity. You all saw that Gillette commercial that effectively took men and made them out to be evil for just the basic things that they do that aren't harmful at all. They had that one scene of the friend stopping a dude from talking to a cute woman is so out of line. Women like to be pursued. They like to be asked out. They want that. Yet we're supposed to feel bad that we do that. Now all of a sudden it's considered sexual harassment if we try to flirt with a girl or ask her out on a date. That's absolute abject nonsense. Most women in America want to be pursued. They want to be flirted with. They want to be asked out on a date. Even if they reject it, they love being asked out. They like feeling that way. It's absolute nonsense. It's a merger of all the topics we've covered over the last few days. Feminism, ESG, wokeness, decline of birth rates. It all seems to have one. These are all spokes of one axle. Toxic masculinity isn't masculinity at all. It's just bullying and assholism. I mean, I would make the argument that it's not even considered toxic masculinity because anybody, look at Amber Heard. You can have bullies, man. Look at Jada Pinkett Smith. These people, women, bullies, both of them, big time. Clearly. So it's not even a masculinity thing. Sometimes people are just assholes. But it's easy to put this in a context of it being a masculine thing because it allows them to take their idea of feminism and you know, men are stupid and weak, but also they're oppressors, and make it realistic. What's up, Brad? You know we're down bad when Gillette is trashing us. I know. Again, ESG, man. ESG. If you want to hear more about ESG, definitely go check out Monday's stream. We talked all about it. Actually, no, you know what? I released a YouTube video just yesterday as well that talks about Elon Musk and his war with ESG. Here's unofficial war with ESG. Go check that out. It's on the YouTube right now. Well, not right now. Don't go right now. After the stream, go check it out. Remaining entrenched in masculinity is itself a great filter. Those calling me toxic call themselves, and the remaining women are of higher quality. Amen. Y'all know what's funny? So I wrote this article, and if you go down into the comment section, there are so many men who are talking about, like, don't marry anyone from America. Or men are like, don't marry women from America. Import your bride. Because they have the traditional values that you're looking for. What? It's like, we want to buy American, but we want to date foreign. That's so sad. So many American women are to be single, and like these brides are coming over from like the Philippines, Japan. It's just oh, it's funny how many people are they caught on to that. Kind of, it's like a trend now. Masculinity is the opposite of that. Only a man who doubts his power has to prove it. Will Smith. A secure man isn't being a loudmouth fight starter or groping women in the club. 100% accurate. Is Amber Heard the one that cried that people were mean to her on Twitter? Is she a leftist white female celebrity? Yeah, it happened. Amber Heard is the one that abused Johnny Depp and then pinned everything on Johnny Depp. I don't think Johnny Depp is 100. We're going to talk about that in a different stream. I want to cover that because it's an amazing story. It really is indicative of where we are as a society. This Amber Heard Johnny Depp story. Johnny Depp isn't an angel himself, but damn, Amber Heard is straight up wackadoo. Not sure, but she was the one who was with, yeah. All right, so this is interesting. Experts said terrifying demographic shifts have created a deficit of educated men and growing problem of leftover professional women, with female graduates vastly outnumbering males in many countries. So in the West, women are currently outstripping men when it comes to earning degrees and getting high-paying white-collar jobs. There was a big surge to have women do it. And as you can see, the universities were only too happy to kind of consider women over men. And I'm not saying that women are less capable. They absolutely are very capable. But, you know, that was the trend at the time. And so you had a lot of graduates come out of college that were female. And they used their degrees to get high-paying jobs where, you know, these corporations and companies wanted their meetings to look more feminine-centric, inviting women into the room and basically not for their skill, but just for the picture, you know? But like, you know, my wife, for instance, is an incredibly capable person. She's the best at what she does, period. But, you know, you run into situations sometimes where it's like, am I here because I'm capable or am I here because I'm a woman, you know? The study led by Yale University involves interviews with 150 women undergoing egg freezing at 8 clinics. Researchers found that in more than 90% of cases, the women were attempting to buy extra time because they could not find a partner to settle down with amid the dearth of educated men. Experts said the research busted the myth that selfish career women were choosing to out their fertility on ice in a bid to put their careers first. They said sweeping social changes meant that many professional women now struggle to find a partner that felt like an equal match. In recent decades, the gender balance at British universities has tipped dramatically. In 1985, 45% of UK students were female, but by 2000, 54% were female or were women. This group, now in their late 30s, is finding it harder to find a man of equal status, fertility experts said. And the trend is set to steep in future generations, they warned, with nearly 6 in 10 current students being female. The research presented at the European Society for Human Reproduction and Embryology Governance in Geneva was based on detailed interviews with women in the United States and Israel. But the lead author said similar trends were likely in the UK, where women are 35% more likely than men to go to university. It's interesting to me that you have this happening because of that push to have women become less feminine, less housewifey, like don't go off and raise kids, wait to have kids, pursue your career first and all that stuff. And then these women are now having to freeze their eggs because they're running out of time. They don't have the time to establish a good relationship, go through all the, if they can find a man, and go through all the stuff that they have to go through in order to reach that part of their relationship where they're ready to have kids with their, hopefully, husband. And by the time that they actually get into that mode, it's too late, or it's becoming too late. They're not going to be able to raise a family. But women have been pushed to this, and it's making them unhappier than than they've ever been. And I think that that's really interesting that no one's talking about this. Again, this article was written in 2017. You don't really see too much about this anymore. It's almost like they don't want to talk about it. Because if they do talk about it, it might turn women away from this idea that feminism has crafted in our mainstream society, that you don't need this to be happy. Well, clearly people are getting scared. They want to have kids. They want to have a family. They want to have a good husband. But they don't know that they have to do certain things in order to achieve that. And all they've been taught is what feminism has taught them. And so they're missing out. And men are leaving the dating pool in the meantime, not just because women are being pickier. It's because they do not want to interact with these women who do not know how to treat men. They expect everything from a man, but they don't want to deliver anything to the man. They think cooking and cleaning is again, not all women. I want to make sure this is very understood, because many of you women out there agree with this, and I found that very surprising. Whenever I write these kinds of articles, I see a lot of women who are like, you are 100% correct. A lot of these women think that cooking and cleaning is beneath them because they have been taught that, women have been subservient to men all their lives, and this is just proof that they're still subservient. If they decide to cook and clean, do the laundry, raise the children, they need to get out there and be ball-busting career women. Otherwise, they're not achieving their full potential, and they are setting women back. They add a guilt measure to it, these feminist activists, this mainstream society. They want women to feel guilty for actually wanting to be a housewife or raise a family and stay at home. But instead we have these bad bitches, like Cam Newton just said, and you can kind of see it happening in our society right now, where you had, at the Grammys, you had Cardi B perform WAP. Y'all remember that? And it was one of the most try-hard performances I had ever seen. I was like back in the day, that would have been, and when I say back in the day, I mean even just the 90s. People would have been like, oh my God, this is trash. And today it's celebrated. It's empowerment. So women are fed this idea of unsustainability. And deep down inside, they kind of yearn for that stability. But they don't know how to get it because they have been lied to all their entire lives by feminists who have been telling them that, they're victims, they're oppressed, and they need to do X, Y, and Z in order to break free of that oppression. And that includes distancing themselves from men and treating men as mere objects, a means to an end. They're not taught that men have needs. They're not taught that they should allow men to lead. Because men are natural leaders. We love to lead. It's look throughout history. We love to do it. But they can't let go of that control. Because if they let go of that control, then men will just control them. It's oppression. Dude, do you want to know the funny thing about relationships, like good operating relationships? If you actually look at them, men aren't like these dictators. They might be the head of the family, but the woman is the neck. And she can turn that head whichever way she wants it to go. She runs the house. Okay? Like, it blows my mind that these women have been out here telling us that, you know, oh, well, you're oppressed. Women can do whatever they want. But a real functioning traditional relationship shows women pretty much in charge in the house. It's their household that they run. Yeah, men are head of the family, but you know what? I mean, I think they purposely try to make it out that women are much weaker than they actually are, especially in a relationship with a man, so that women are too afraid to get into one. Some chick was crying that people were mean on Twitter, but she was a troll on Twitter. They usually are. Taylor Lawrence. Oh. The reason my 30-something friends are single is because the women they are finding either have previous kids or don't want kids. There was this comedian who said something along the lines of, men are expected to bring to the relationship a good job, a good paycheck, humor, love, put food on the table, keep a roof over the head. And what are women bringing to the table? Some other dude's kid. Like, that's kind of dating in your 30s right now. Wanting to start a family late seems impossible watching from the outside. I mean, look, I'm in my late 30s, and I took a long time to settle down, and I'm, we're trying to start a family. And do I wish that I had started a little earlier? Yeah. But, I mean, that's just the generation that I was raised in. And that, these are one of the issues that I had to contend with. Lawrence would expose people from social media who committed some woke crime in her eyes, then melted down when Tucker reported on her and used her name and photo. Good old Tucker. God, I hate that freaking I'm a victim even though I just it's like going up to someone, punching them, and then when you get punched back saying, "Oh, he started it." Like, bro, that's the modern like especially the social justice warrior on Twitter. That's them in a nutshell. It's like they learned nothing of the generation that got duped by Gloria Steinem. Exactly. She claimed to have been doxxed when he used her biopic. Oh God. What an idiot. I went to college with a bunch of girls looking for their MRSs. Yeah. I learned about that. My sister was going to Baylor and she was kind of explaining that to me, that like some women are going to college not because they want a degree, they just want to find their husband. Backside of the coin, as a man, you would be okay as a house husband if your wife was making $122K. I don't, like, personally, if you're asking me personally, no. But I like to work. I like to have that. I like to be creative. I like to actually bring in money. I like to, make a difference at my job. I enjoy work. I enjoy being a leader at work. So I personally, I'd probably not give into the whole house husband thing. It wouldn't be for me. I'm sure that there are some husbands out there that would be for that. I'm just not one of them personally. Late 30s, littles 3 and 5. I'm so lucky my wife tricked me into marrying her, or I'd be with. Yeah, I can't wait to have kids, man. I'll be honest. I've been wanting to be a dad for years. It's going to be so awesome. Man, I'm almost out of time. All right, look. I'm going to go a little over because I was a little late. Let's switch topics here for just a second. See, this is why I'm once we get into like way more viewership, y'all, I'm extending the time on this show. 100% extending the time on the show. I feel like we're always like in a rush. This is my life. It works out because I manage crops, which is like 4 months a year. But now she works remote because of COVID, so it's best of both worlds. 42, never married, bullet dodged more than once, never going to happen on the marriage thing. See, John, you're not alone. You're not alone, dude. There are a lot of people out there who refuse to get married. They're not going to dip into because they think, well, why should I? If I'm looking at, I look at my parents got divorced. I look at my friends, they're either disappeared because their wife won't let them hang out with us, or they're absolutely miserable, they're broke, they're probably divorced at some point in time. They've been emotionally abused. I myself have been in some serious toxic relationships, and I don't want to do that anymore. Why should I dive back into that in order to get married and probably wind up the same as all these other people? Why should I do that? A lot of men are asking that question. And this is one of the reasons why they're disappearing. They don't want to deal with it anymore. And then women are wondering why they're disappearing. Well, if you really want to, ladies, if you really want, I'll just conclude with this and then we'll move on. If you really want to solve the problem and you want to attract a man and you're dead set on, having a husband and having kids and you're lonely and you want to be loved and stuff like that, you're going to have to ditch a lot of the feminist nonsense that was forced on you. And you're going to have to look back and see about some sort of traditionalism that maybe you had up to this point considered to be backward and horrible, because it wasn't so backward and horrible. I think that there is a good fine line and a middle ground here. Between, the old traditionalism and going out and doing your own thing. I think there's a fine line there. I think that there is an acknowledgement that men and women, that it should be acknowledged, that men and women need each other, that we both have needs, we both have wants, that both of these, the things that we want, or all these things that we want as the sex, are valid. Okay? And that we should have mutual respect for one another. It really boils down to that, mutual respect, because right now there is no mutual respect. It's not around. Or at least it's not being taught. But it starts by first rejecting the feminism, the third wave feminism, I should say, that was forced on these girls and fooled them into thinking one thing when reality is another. That's it. Ghost guns. We can talk about that on Friday because I've got some things to say about the stupid ghost guns thing. Breakup costs a shitload less than divorce. I've done a self-evaluation. Yeah, no marriage with me will last. John, I'm going to laugh my ass off when that one girl comes along and just like sweeps you off your feet, carries you off into the sunset on the back of her white horse. Number one question, wife, husband won't let me. What? I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying. Real fast, I kind of wanted to tackle this because it looked fun. I kind of wanted to just, I had a little thing to say about it, about the space exploration thing. We'll finish with this. By the way, this is from the Post Millennial up at their Twitter, and I'm glad that they seized this little clip. It was like really interesting to watch.
Sure, but eliminate human technological byproducts. There is a point at which humans fart themselves to death. Yeast does it in a bottle.
But the question is,
I'm not saying we're there. I don't know where it will be, but mathematically, it's obvious that it exists. Now, my point on top of this is, so I think pollution is a problem. I think we should be aware of that and do our best to mitigate that, to live as clean as possible, minimize our entropy, maximize our entropy. But also in the process, we should be colonizing other planets. We should be doing scientific advancement. We should be launching space stations.
I think we should be doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think we should be totally using the resources we have to bust out of the solar system.
Why? I mean,
there's always this one guy in these conversations who's like, no, we shouldn't be doing that. No, why?
Because we are a race of explorers, and there's
exploring,
curiosity.
sure, but
what's out there?
I'll simplify
Let's
it.
why but his for context, fun. Literally for fun.
I'll give you a real answer.
Dude, I love how
my answer is real.
A real answer is
fun is a real answer.
Humanity could be wiped out by a single comet right now. If we had a small space station on Mars, the humans on Mars would not be impacted by a crisis on Earth in the same way, making us more resilient and more prone to survival.
That's a good reason too. And fun.
Can I actually say I actually prefer the fun answer.
sure,
space,
but-
Me
right?
too, actually. But I think it's like really interesting that we have this argument today in our society about how there are people out there who do not want us to go into space. And Tim Pool is 100% correct. Like it doesn't take much to wipe us out. You know, a single meteor that's big enough can just completely destroy us. But yo, tell me that at some point in time, we aren't going to exhaust the resources, at least not the renewable ones. But I mean, like, at some point in time, we are going to overburden the planet with the amount of population that we have. We are going to run out of certain resources for energy and stuff like that. You sit there and tell me that at some point in time, it wouldn't be better to leave the planet, and we should start focusing on that right now, because space travel isn't just going to start happening tomorrow. And it drives me crazy that there are people out there who, whenever these billionaires go to space and they make civilian flight travel or a civilian space travel a thing, you know, they get mad at them. They talk about how we have problems here and we need to focus on the problems here on Earth. Make sure that, you know, we're feeding the homeless and we need to put that money towards ecological sustainability. It's like, y'all, if we do not focus on this at some point in time, we're going to kill ourselves. We're going to run out of stuff. We're going to get to a point where our population can't sustain the amount of food, like the food we grow, the food we hunt, the oceans are going to get trashed. I mean, like it just happens. It's going to happen no matter what. We should definitely be explorers, certainly for the fun of it. I agree with that. But also, like Tim Pool said, I believe that we need to get out there and start focusing on space travel. SpaceX, we need to start really backing that up. Anytime a billionaire goes to space and takes some friends with him, massive amounts of applause. In my honest opinion, I just think it's so smart. We're going to die if we don't. What's up, Kaylin James? Hi, everyone. The BLM activist Tamika Mallory has fled. She is out of the... Oh, does she really? Is that true? I'm not seeing that come up on the news yet. But if that is true, wonder why. I was just surprised to see Matt Walsh push for something on the basis that it is fun. Brad! Jerome Glass, thank you for the subscription. Really appreciate it. Yeah, where's the source? Where did you see that? Also, the Subway Shooter has a YouTube channel called The Prophet of Truth 88. Okay, go to my Twitter at the Brandon Morse and show me that stuff. I need to know what your sources are, because if that's true, that Tamika Mallory thing, for instance, is not surprising. But if that is true, you got to start thinking about what that probably means for the rest of the BLM movement. Wait, wasn't Tamika Mallory a women's march person? If that was a Schaefer, I think it was, I'm done with him. That is a really, really terrible stance to hold. The idea that you've got people out there who, imagine back in the day, going back to the space thing real fast. Imagine back in the day, you had somebody realize that if you plant seeds in the ground, that you could grow more crops and then take the seeds from those crops and plant more. But we were living such a hunter-gatherer lifestyle that we had not really thought about farming yet, you know? But the first dude to start doing that, people probably thought he was wasting time and resources. I'm sure there were people out there who were no, this whole farming thing that you're trying to do, it's a waste. You're not out there working, you're not out there hunting. Brandon Bonner, thank you for the subscription. Really appreciate it, bro. And thank you for being in the chat today, man. There's got to be those people out there who were sitting there telling these people that they were wasting their time. and resources, and that, they were going to set the village or the tribe back because they weren't going out to help hunt or gather the berries and the roots and stuff like that. In my honest opinion, this is like that again. We're trying to go out there and do something new. And there are people who are like, no, we can't leave. Like, bro, yes, you can. We have to in order to progress and what happens whenever we actually advance technologically? Everybody benefits from it. We have poor people in the United States who are fat, okay? And we're the most advanced nation in the world. What does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? She made the mistake of going live on Instagram. She went to a Muslim country. Oh, interesting. Yeah, definitely send that to me at the Brandon Morse. I just get annoyed when people bitch about Bezos going to space. He made the money. Let him spend. Exactly. Let him do what he wants. Just type in BLM scam everything. I uploaded the video. YouTube delete it. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, send it to my Twitter when you get the chance. Guys, I've got to call it a day. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Please follow me at the Brandon Morse on Twitter. Be sure to click like on the stream if you haven't already. Well, I'll see you again on Friday. We're going live at the same time at noon EST. I think that we've got another Red. I think he handed me a script that was written by an AI bot. Again, we're going to read another one of those. And have a generally good time. We'll talk about those ghost guns too. Because that is something I wanted to bring up and talk about. In the meantime, guys, if you guys want to see more of me, you can go to twitch.tv/the Morse Code. We don't do politics there. It's just having fun. So check that out. And please go to redstate.com. Sign up for the VIP if you haven't already. Use promo code Morse. It really helps us out when you do that. And you get some content that you will not get on the front page for non-subscribers. In the meantime, guys, I will see y'all later. Y'all have a good rest of your week. Peace.